Welcome to In the Clubhouse, Keith Bracey's sideways glance at rugby union. And today we start with the new season. This is a momentous season for English rugby because it culminates in the Rugby World Cup in September and October next year, Chris.
Of course,
you aware of that?
Yeah, that's started.
I've got a bit of a gripe here actually with the Rugby Football Union because I tried to buy some tickets. Being involved with the club myself, Dixonians, I'll mention them later. And the cheapest ticket I could come across, which I could have purchased, was £50, which is a lot of money, really. 50 for 80 minutes of rugby. I thought, it was a lot of cash. There were the cheapest ticket you could have got if I could have got in. Using my rugby club membership, was £20, which is more in my ballpark, really. But £50 I felt was a bit excessive. And some of the some of the linked Twickenham games, the cheapest tickets are £70 and £80. So I think they're making a bit of money out of the dear punter here. I think the rugby union, but that's a minor quibble. If England win, I shall forget all about that. And fair play to England rugby. But what I really wanted to talk about this evening is the close season and England women's rugby 15 winning the World Cup.
Of course, yeah. I thought we were going to answer that, yeah.
Well, yes, that's...
Do you think it had the publicity that you would have expected? Or
I did watch it live.
Yeah.
Yes, I watched it live streamed on from Sky. But... I would have liked to have seen it on the red button actually on BBC, which would have been nice. We didn't get that, but it was good coverage, but it could have been better. And there was a lot of local involvement, Chris. I don't know whether you know this. The coach of the England women's team is a local lad who I played against when I played for Dixonians against Aston Old Edwardians. A chap called Gary Street. Who's carrying a bit of timber nowadays, Gary. Good evening to you. And
I love you for saying that. I'm pretty sure.
Still got the blonde curly locks though, Chris.
Oh, right.
Cherubic looking Gary. And his acolyte, Graham Williamson, the ex-Moseley tight-headed prop. And they coached England to World Cup victory.
Right.
The other local involvement was there were 4 players from Worcester Warriors, ladies team, and also 4 players from Lichfield playing. And the woman that scored, I shouldn't call them ladies, that's not very polite, is it really? What do you think?
What else are you going to say?
Well, women. They're women.
Well, women, yeah.
Women.
Yeah.
Women.
Yeah. I suppose ladies is a bit of it, yeah.
It's a bit patronising, isn't it, really? You know what I mean? We won't get into sexist talk here anyway, Chris. But I wanted to say, well done to Emily Scarrett, who scored the winning try in the final in Paris. Emily is a PE teacher at King Edward's High School for Girls in Edgbaston in Birmingham. So that's a real local connection. So well done, Emily. I think she plays for Worcester, so good luck to you in the coming season, Emily. You'll never surpass that, scoring the winning try in the World Cup final. Well done to you and the England women's rugby team. Great news for English rugby. And the other thing I wanted to say about women's rugby tonight, it's a bit of a women's show, really, isn't it, Chris? We're on the distaff side tonight, aren't we, really?
Sorry?
The distaff. You've not heard that phrase?
No, I haven't. No, sorry.
Distaff means women. It's a posh word for women. The distaff side, and I'm not sure what the equivalent for males is.
I've never heard that before.
You've never heard distaff? D-I-S-T-A-F-F. F for Freddie.
Never heard
distaff side. No, never heard that phrase used to describe the comely female sex? No? Well, there you go.
Sorry,
teaching you something new every evening, Chris, so there you go. Anyway, a woman, Maggie Alfonsi, possibly England's greatest ever rugby player, announced her retirement today.
Right.
And what a great role model she was for young black women in the sport, in any sport really. She first played as a 19-year-old in 2003, played in 3 World Cups for England. And this last World Cup was the first one that she won because England had a perennial losers tag in the World Cup finals. They were always losing to the Silver Ferns, the New Zealand women's team, who this time were vanquished by the Irish. Right. And I know you have Irish heritage, and you like the Irish passion for their rugby, and And the Irish beat the Silver Ferns in the group stages, which meant that when England played Canada in the group stages and drew, that knocked out the Silver Ferns, the All Blacks. So that was a fantastic result because they could no longer vanquish the English, and England beat Canada in the final in Paris. And I hadn't realised that Canada is a hotbed at rugby, women's rugby. And did you know the Women's World Cup in football, is in Canada next year? Because we qualified, didn't we, with local girl Karen Carney for Birmingham City Ladies to the fore again. Great player, Karen. Good evening to you, Karen, if you're listening. It's in Canada next year. So we won 9 out of 9 in our qualifying group, and I think we scored an average of 4 goals a game. So we really beat the opponents with great ease in the women's game. I'm sure the Americans... We're playing Germany, I gather, in a friendly at Wembley soon. Women's football. So that'll be at Wembley. I don't know how full it'll be, Chris, because the England men could hardly fill it last Wednesday against Norway.
I'm not sure what the gate was.
About 40,000, 30 to 40,000, I think, which is a bit disappointing, really.
Yeah, we thought it was going to be bad.
And when you think we haven't got a lot of draws to attract people in the coming up games, have we? I know tonight. Good luck to the lads and Wayne Rooney, the skipper, against Switzerland in Basel, and hopefully we can get a win there. And did you see that the Scots all ran the Germans quite close last night and lost 2-1? Yeah, they got a new player up front called Anya. I don't know where he comes from. Doesn't sound very Scottish.
Watford he plays for.
Oh, does he? Watford?
What? He's not a Scot with a name like Anya. Do you know where his roots are? Or
I'm not sure actually.
Is he African?
There was a singer called Anya.
There was, yes. Yeah, Anya. Yeah,
Enya.
Enya. Orinoco Flow.
Well done, yes.
Orinoco Flow. That was her big hit, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Enya. Oh, yes, she was very nice, yes. Anyway, wandering off the subject. Well, what we talked about is women tonight. This stuff side, isn't it?
I don't mind.
Oh, I think, it's a lovely subject, isn't it, to start the show this season. Yeah. This is my 3rd season on Sports Radio Birmingham, would you believe? Yeah. I don't know how they put me in this so long, but, I'm just carrying on regardless and trying to put a show together for you, all you lovely listeners out there who like my ramblings about rugger. And so in the studio tonight we've got our friend Chris Brown.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mrs. Brown.
Good evening.
Saw a fascinating documentary with the real Mrs. Brown, Brendan O'Carroll, about his roots.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Did you see that?
I saw a bit of that. Yeah.
His grandfather was assassinated by the British. Did you know that?
Right. Okay.
She, now it's a bit ironic now that he's such a success in Britain and. This was in 1920, I think, during the Irish War of Independence, and his grandfather was murdered by the British agents. So,
I had noticed on that show that his daughter, his wife, plays his daughter.
Indeed, and she's on Strictly.
Oh, is she? Yeah.
She's appearing on Strictly, which I watched last night, which was fantastic as usual. Bit of glitz and glamour. You're an X Factor man, aren't you?
Well, no.
Well, maybe your music
switch off.
No, really?
Yeah.
No, I love a bit of glitz and glamour. I mean,
some bad news.
Brucey's had to call it a day, but Tess and Cordy are all... Is that dog scratching again?
Yeah, no.
Is he found a bone? We've got Ted in the studio with us tonight. Yeah. Good evening, Ted.
Radio dog.
Radio dog. Good evening, Ted.
His master's voice and all
Indeed. That was Jack Russell, though, wasn't it?
Was it?
I'm quite partial to Jack Russell's, actually.
I couldn't eat a whole one. No way.
They used to bite the tails off, to dock the tails in the back country. Did you know that?
No.
I don't think they used to eat the tails, but they used to bite.
What was the point of that?
Well, they had long tails, and they wanted them with tiny little tails because they used to go down the rabbit warrens and chase the rabbits out. The Jack Russells did, right. And that was why they used to dock the tails in case they got stuck somewhere or something like that. So anyway, we'll digress.
Yeah.
So
that's what this show's about. Digression.
Digression, indeed.
It wouldn't be the same without a bit of digression.
A bit of terpsichorean turpitude and what I'm sounding like Leonard Sachs from what was he called? That musical show. I've got you there.
Probably before my time. Is he Manuel?
No, his dad. It was his dad. Would you believe? Manuel's father, Leonard Sachs. Yes, it was his father.
His dad.
The good old days.
Oh,
from the City Varieties Theatre in Leeds.
I can see the
resemblance. Do you remember the show in the 60s?
Yeah, of course I do. Yeah,
they had the black and white minstrels on and people
like
that.
Didn't they?
Danny LaRue. They did have to stop it, yeah. Danny LaRue, Les Dawson. All those great old favourites from music hall times, you know.
It used to be the only thing on of a Saturday night, wasn't it?
It was a Sunday night. It was a Sunday night. But the Sunday night at the Palladium was on as well, Chris, wasn't it? Yeah. Right, yeah. Anyway, back to the rugby. So the Premiership started on Saturday with Friday night's game was a bit of a trouncing for Gloucester and their new director of rugby. Who is it now? It is Ian Humphreys, the Ulsterman. And it's all changed at Gloucester, famous rugby club, the Shed. Most of their fans they got absolutely annihilated by Northampton Saints, 53-6. And for the Saints, George North, the Welsh Rugby Union International, scored a hat-trick. And Gloucester back to square one. They have the Mercurial Welshman James Hook. He's not a pirate, by the way. No. Not a pirate. He's a very fine fly half. He's just been playing in France.
Captain.
You just got it. Yeah, he's just intrigued. He's not a pirate. No, he's not a Cornish pirate. That's another rugby club. That's another story. Or indeed. Tin Mines.
I've noticed these pirates. They've all got the Somerset accents. Even American pirates.
Well, Johnny Depp included.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, back to the rugby. Gloucester 6, Northampton 53 down in Kingsholm. So bit of a reawakening, a rude awakening for Gloucester. Back to square one. Northampton showing the form that won in the championship, the Aviva title last May, and as I say, James Hook had a tough baptism into the Premier Rugby. Then on Saturday we had the London doubleheader at Twickenham. First up we had London Irish playing Quins, and London Irish have invested very heavily this close season in a lot of players, and have lost to Quins 15 points to 20. And Nick Evans, the All Blacks fly half, who was the guest on Brian Moore's rugby show last night on TalkSport, who's good evening Nick to you, and he missed a couple of kicks at goal, but Quins managed to defeat the Irish with tries from Mugo Monye and Ollie Lindsay Haig. He's not a couple of comprehensive schoolboys, is he? Ollie Lindsay Haig, don't you think? Probably went to Eton or Harrow or somewhere like that. Arra. Could have been to Arra. Yeah. On the Northern Line, indeed. Anyway, so Irish lost to Quins 15 points to 20, and in the other game, which was a bit of a disappointing game really, but in the other game it was absolutely top draw scintillator. Wasps 28, Saracens 34, and we had another hat trick from Dave Strettle, the erstwhile England winger, who for me still hasn't had a fair crack of the whip with England. I think he deserves a few more caps. And the other chap who scored a couple of tries was Christian Wade, who's my tip for the top. Sadly, Christian's been out of the game for 9 months with a foot injury, but he made his comeback on Saturday and scored 2 tries. I would tip now that he plays in the Autumn International starting in November, where England play all the top 3 Southern Hemisphere sides, who are Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa. In successive weeks, which will replicate what they will be expected to do in the World Cup final. So it's good planning by the Rugby Union. So, Christian Wade and Dave Strettle starred for Wasps and Saracens respectively on Saturday, with Dave Strettle scoring in the very last minute to snatch the game for Saracens, who finished runners-up in the European Cup, which is replaced this season by the European Rugby Cup, which is a bit confusing, I know, for non-rugby fans. Okay.
So there isn't going to be...
There's no Heineken Cup anymore. There is a European Cup, but they've changed the name of it. Right. It hasn't got a sponsor, unfortunately, which is a bit unfortunate, but, it'll happen, I'm sure. So, Wasps lost to Saracens, to a last-minute Dave Strettle try. But nice to see Christian Wade back there and hopefully playing for England in the Autumn Internationals. Hopefully with him on the one wing and Marland Yard, who's signed for Harlequins now, and he didn't score on Saturday against London Irish in the other game in the London doubleheader, the Twickenham doubleheader. Marland Yard and Christian Wade playing on the wing for England. That's my tip for the top. So let's hope they may stay fit and they score lots of tries for England in these November internationals, autumn internationals, and in the Six Nations, and hopefully stay fit until the World Cup next year. Next up, we had Leicester 36, Newcastle 17, and another hat-trick. 34 tries were scored in all the 6 games of the Aviva Premiership this weekend, which might be something of a record. I haven't quite got Mr. Stato on it, but
so do you reckon that's above average for
it is, with 3 hat-tricks from, as I say, George North on the Friday night, Dave Strettle on the Saturday in the London doubleheader, and also Ganiva, the Leicester wing, the Fijian Sarevi Ganiva scoring a hat-trick in the Leicester 36 Newcastle 17 game. Now, Newcastle, for me, may struggle to stay up this season, but the other game was interesting as well, and the other perennial strugglers who may also find it difficult to stay in the Premiership, but London Welsh were absolutely annihilated by Exeter by 52 points to 0. And would you believe that Thomas the Tank Engine scored 2 tries in that game? Thomas the Tank Engine, aka Thomas Waldrum, has signed from Leicester for Exeter Chiefs.
I'm guessing he's a big boy then.
He's a boiler. He's a big boiler. Right. He's a big lad. Carries a bit of weight. Yeah. He's a big lad. Plays number 8. Scored 2 tries. So, Exeter started really well. 4 years ago, Chris, they were in the Championship where Michael and Moseley are. And they were struggling, but they've come up and they've 4 years ago, and they've made a great fist of Premiership rugby, and they won their first trophy last season in 134 years of history. Oof. The LV Cup, a bit like the Blues, really.
Yeah.
Mind you, the Blues won the League Cup, didn't they? Have they won the FA Cup, Chris?
No, they haven't. No.
No, haven't they?
No.
That's strange. Is that right, Gabriel?
Yeah,
they've never won the FA Cup. No. Have they been in the final?
They
got to the semi-final against Fulham in 1975
against Manchester City.
Man City, that's
1956.
Was that a Troutman final? Was it when he broke?
It was. Was it? I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah.
Or was it Don Revie would have played in that as well? Would he for Man City?
I should find out. But I think it was the Troutman final.
That's a bit of a good memory, isn't it?
Yeah.
Don Revie and
1956.
Is that long ago?
Yeah.
I remember I beat the Villa to win their first trophy, which probably really pleased most Blues fans.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. I thought the Blues would have won the FA Cup,
No, never won anything.
They have.
Not really.
They've won the Championship. They've won the League Cup.
Yeah,
they must have won a Leyland Daff or
Leyland Daff and auto windscreens. Yeah.
Well, I gather things aren't too chipper down at St Andrews again, and 4-0 against Wigan, was it?
Nothing changes.
Well, until the Chinese hairdresser slings his hook, I think you're going to be struggling, aren't you? Really?
Can I just tell you, in the 1956 FA Cup?
Go on then.
Birmingham City entered the match as favourites.
Really?
Yeah. Can you believe that, against Manchester City?
Mm-hmm. And was it Bert Troutman final? Was it Don Revie?
It was the Bert Troutman final, yeah.
When he broke his neck?
Yeah, Bert Troutman, who continued playing despite breaking a bone in his neck in a collision with Birmingham City's Peter Murphy.
German paratrooper, wasn't he, Bert Troutman?
Yeah. He's still alive, I think.
No, he died a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's right.
He did pass away. I mean, a lovely man. Great man. A great footballer. What a brave man to carry on playing when you've broken a bone in your neck, Well, the blue. That's a game between the two blue sides. Blue side of Manchester and blue side of Birmingham as well. Yeah. First and second city against the third city.
Exactly. Yeah.
Birmingham being the second city, of course, and Manchester being the third city. Yeah. No argument there, really, is there? Anyway, back to the rugby. I want to delve into the Championship now. Now, those Wussy boys, who they're still around, but they got relegated last season from the Premiership to the Championship, and of course they would be installed as the heavy favourites to come back up, to bounce straight back. But sadly, somebody put a spanner in the works in the form of Bristol Rugby Club, who are a huge rugby club in waiting, really. They've got Andy Robinson, the England rugby coach from the 2003 World Cup, as their director of rugby. They've got some fantastic players, and they beat Worcester on Saturday quite easily. So that really almost could be said to, if it was played at the end of the season, would have been possibly a title decider.
So are they like a sleeping giant, would you say?
Bristol are, very much so, because it's that southwest of Britain, England, where rugby, the hotbed of rugby. You got Bath, you got Bristol, you got Exeter, Cornwall as well. Trelawney's Army used to come up from Cornwall to when the county championship was a big competition in rugby. Sadly, no longer. And besieged Twickenham, and the Cornish red and that. Sorry, they're Wolves colours. Black and amber stripes like buzzing wasps used to come to Twickenham and try and win the county championship. Yeah, the southwest of England is a hotbed of rugby. And I hope Bristol do manage it. They lost out last season to London Welsh, who have invested heavily in new players. 25 new players this season. Doesn't seem to be doing them any good because Exeter stuffed them 52-0 on Saturday, so as we've already mentioned. So, not a great start for those Wussy boys anyway. As I've often said on this show, I'm not Worcester Rugby Club.
You'd like to see them as the whipping boys of this.
I would, yes. I'd love to. I prefer to see. What's the doctor doing?
I'm just ripping the studio apart.
Okay, that's all right. You're meant to help us, Tom, not rip the studio apart. Anyway, I'd love to see Bristol get up there as a big rugby club. I think they've got more potential than Worcester. Worcester, as I say, Cecil Duckworth thrown 10 million at Worcester, still haven't made a proper rugby club out of them. So it's just throwing good money after bad, if you ask me. But and on to my club, Moseley.
Yep.
They started the new season well. All changed at Moseley again. Lost some of their better players, like Ollie Robinson, Andy Robinson's son, who's gone from Moseley to Bristol to play under his father, who, as I say, is director of rugby at Bristol. Ollie Robinson's gone, as has Andy Williams, the winger, who has scored some fantastic tries and kept the punters entertained last season at Billsley Common, where Moseley play. And by the way, they're building a new stand, as we know, and hopefully that'll be finished at in the end of October. But Moseley didn't start too well on the field. They played Jersey, who have pots and pots of money, and like London Welsh, have invested in many new players. And Moseley drew 22-all with Jersey. But you didn't even know Jersey got a rugby club.
I haven't known.
It's not
measuring that. That's measuring all the Channel Islands have got one.
Jersey is the best, and they fly everywhere to away games. I suppose they have. As I say, they've invested heavily in players, and Moseley drew 22-all with Jersey on Saturday in the curtain raiser of the season at Billsley Common. Well done, Mose. Come on, Mose. They had the best season for years last season, because as you may have realised, they were the perennial relegation strugglers, and but they've managed to finish, I think it was 7th in the championship, which is 19th in the whole hierarchy of English rugby. They're the 19th best club by results in English rugby.
How do you think they'll fare this
I think they may struggle. Ollie Robinson's a big miss, Andy Williams a big miss in the backs and the forwards. They have signed some decent players, but they're mostly untried more junior players who are trying to make a mark in the senior game. I think they've signed a chap from Stourbridge, a flanker from Stourbridge who they're hoping great things for, and also a winger from Luctonians and out in Herefordshire, deepest Herefordshire.
Wow.
Again, the southwest. Another pirate, yep. Anyway,
near the southwest, really, is it?
It is. It's southwest of the Midlands.
How come farmers up north sound the same as well? That's weird, isn't it?
Is it? Do they?
Yeah.
I thought they were more by gum, we by gum.
Nah, they've all got the same accent.
They've all got the Uaras, have they? Like the Wurzels.
Yeah.
I've got a brand new combine harvester. Anyway, back to the rugby. Coventry in National League One lost their first home game of the season, sadly to say, but Stourbridge in National League Midlands and North beat Harrogate 17-11 away. So I think Stourbridge are going to have another good season. So and a well-run club, some good young players, and hello to Dick Jevons Fellows, my erstwhile colleague from Lambert Smith Hampton, who is chairman of Stourbridge Rugby Club, and Stourbridge Saxons they're called now, Chris. So
Stourbridge Saxons.
Stourbridge Saxons, yes.
Great name.
Tis. Well, as we know, we've got the Anglo-Saxon Horde in Staffordshire, just up the road.
Yep.
Because Stourbridge Rugby Club is in Stratton, which is just in Staffordshire, would you believe? So there you go. That's possibly why they called them Saxons. I don't know. The great club, though. I played many a game against Stourbridge down the leagues over the years I played. So, well done to Stourbridge for beating Harrogate 17 points 11. Birmingham Solihull Bees, your local club here, Chris.
Yes.
Who you would support, I'm sure, if you knew where they played.
Yeah, if I like rugby.
And if you like rugby, indeed. Well, I love rugby, as you know, so that's why I'm here tonight.
No, I'm learning.
Yeah, well, I'm educating you. I would have loved to have taken you to a Rugby World Cup game at Villa Park if you'd have got through the quarantine checks for Blue Noses who ventured to Villa Park.
I can't imagine me going to Villa Park.
But I would have loved to have taken you, 20 quid a ticket each.
That's not bad.
I would have taken you to possibly Samoa against South Africa. And the South Africans are such a hotbed of rugby, South Africa, the Springboks, I'd love to have taken you to that and introduced you to the likes of the oval ball game. Sorry.
Be careful.
Be careful what you say. Yes, Birmingham Solihull Bees, they lost as well to Otley at home. So, they had a good season last season. They finished in the top 4 of the National League North and Midlands. And again, Stourbridge, they did well as well. And so hopefully we'll see some more of those two of the more junior clubs in our area doing well this season. Now, I wanted to say a bit of I already mentioned that Maggie Alfonsi has retired from the game, possibly England's greatest ever women rugby player, and a great role model for black women sportsmen everywhere. But also we've also had some other important retirements. Johnny Wilkinson retired at the end of last season.
That's right, yeah.
And as you know, possibly England's greatest ever player, certainly the most famous.
It's going to be the most famous.
Kicking that drop goal in the final in 2003. So Johnny is now working as a kicking coach with Toulon, his French club. Also from that team, Mike Tyndall has retired as well. He's now on the staff of Gloucester. Mike Tyndall, married to Zara Phillips, as we know. Yeah, the guy with the most circumnavigated nose in the world. Yeah. Pug ugly, really, but she must see something in him.
Must be.
Perhaps he's got a... Oh, no, perhaps we won't go there.
Yeah, probably has got a...
one of them, yeah. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. He's a man with funny-shaped balls. We plays a game with funny-shaped balls.
Right, yeah, we won't go into that.
Anyway, and also Sinbad has retired. I bet you don't know Sinbad. Another pirate.
Why?
Sinbad. No. Was Sinbad a pirate? Sinbad wasn't a pirate.
No, he was a sailor.
Sinbad was a sailor. But he might have been a pirate.
He might have been.
He might have been a pirate.
Yeah, he knew a few, didn't he?
He did. Sinbad the sailor.
That's right.
There's a song there somewhere, isn't there? It's a bit rude, I think, for this time before the watershed. Anyway, Sinbad has retired. Sinbad, a.k.a. James Simpson Daniel. James Simpson Daniel, Gloucester player, Gloucester winger, England winger, 10 caps for England. Sadly, his career was blighted by injury. I heard him interviewed last night on Brian Moore's show, on TalkSport. Hello to you, Brian, a fellow Nottingham University graduates as we are. I did beat you to actually starting a rugby union show before you. I had a year doing it before you managed to do it. But you are a highly intelligent man and a very violent man, so I wouldn't mess with you. So, yes, good evening to you, Brian, if you do happen to be listening. Great show, and I'm picking up lots of tips and hints. TalkSport, great. Shouldn't be plugging other radio stations. Really. Well, I'm all's fair in love and war, isn't it? Anyway, Sinbad has had to retire through an ankle injury, and he was a great player, and he could have been England's Shane Williams for me. Little chap, pocket full of muscle, rebounded like a tennis ball around the pitch. He was but he was always blighted by injury. That's why he only won 10 caps. And as I say, he could have been England's Shane Williams. He was a great player for Wales, scored many, many tries for Wales. And he was a little pocket rocket like Shane. And sadly, his injury... Simpson Daniel burst onto the scene when he was 17. And the Hong Kong Sevens. And he scored... It was the year that England won the Hong Kong Sevens, I think. And he scored a hatful of tries in the Sevens finals, and that was what made his reputation. And he had a great how many years was it? Well, he's 30 now, so he started when he was 17, so that's 13 years playing at the top level. Sadly, as I say, probably 3 of those years were blighted by injury, but well done, Sinbad. And he's now reinvented himself with Mike Tyndall, with the horsey connection with Zara, of course. He's got a Grand National horse, Monbeg Jude, who ran in this year's Grand National. I had a bet on him. No, I think he came 4th or 5th actually.
Okay.
But he was a great prospect. He was one of the favourites, Monbeg Jude.
Yeah.
So yeah, well done, Sinbad, and good luck in your future career. Sadly, sorry to see you leaving the rugby union.
Before we round it off,
Go on.
you must be getting a bit dizzy with your football team up 3rd from the top.
No. Reality will kick in. Reality will kick in, Chris. When Joe Cole goes off with another hamstring injury.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, the bloke's played about 4 games in the last 3 years.
I was going to say,
Why we bought him?
for at least 2 weeks now, has he?
Yeah, I know. And I'm looking forward to Benteke coming back.
Yeah.
And Kozak. Not Kojak, Kozak. I think we've got a good squad now. And I think the bloke has done it for us and galvanised us. Keane, absolutely. Top man, top player. Jury's out as a manager, but you know he obviously sees some potential with Villa. I heard Paul Lambert on Radio 5 yesterday morning. I hadn't realised he won the Champions League with Borussia Dortmund. You know, he was a top player, but certainly his managerial career with the Villa hasn't been top at the moment. But the jury's out. He seems to have bought well. You know, he got Tom Cleverley. I mean, not a lot of people. My daughter said when
they don't want Villa fans,
they didn't want him.
No,
they didn't want him because they thought he was a Man United reject. But the jury's out. And this guy Sanchez from Colombia, you know. Delph's making his debut for England tonight. Did you know that?
That's right. Yeah.
Well, not his debut. His first starting game. So yeah, good luck to Fabian Delph. You were our player of the season last season, Fabian. Well, good luck tonight, and good luck to England against Switzerland. So it's Keith Bracey signing off from In the Clubhouse. Good night, Chris.
Good night.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Gabriel. Good night, Tom.